Hello, I'm Jana Skórecki. You will hear my composition, The Path Before Me, A Woman's Journey. It will be sung by Canadian soprano and my friend, Clarisse Tonegussi, who has toured across Canada singing the music of Canadian women composers, and who is the founder of the Canadian Women Composers Project. She will be joined by collaborative pianist Narmina Afandieva. This piece is very special to me because it tells the story of my grandmother, who was born in 1897 in Siberia and died in 1948 in Prague. My own background is Czech. I was born in Prague and my family came to Canada in 1968. I grew up in Waterloo, so I'm very happy that this piece will be premiered as part of the Conrad Grebel College concert series at the University of Waterloo, where my father taught mechanical engineering. The premiere is on Remembrance Day, which is also my birthday, but it is a story of remembrance. It tells of a time in history, of the conflict of war and its impact on those caught in the middle of it, and of a courageous woman who finds hope and a way forward through the challenges and obstacles that life puts in her path. My grandmother's name was Irina, and it was only a few years ago that we discovered that she was in fact Jewish, and her original name was Esther, which shed a whole new light on the events of her life. She was born and grew up in Siberia. After World War I, she married my grandfather, Lawrence Skórecki, who was a Czech soldier fighting for the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Then he was a prisoner of war sent to Siberia and later joined the Czech Legion in Russia, whose purpose it was to try to help make Czechoslovakia an independent country. They lived in China for 15 years, had 2 children, and then during World War II, as they were on their way back to Prague, they were stranded in Hitler's Berlin for 3 years, before finally being able to reach Czechoslovakia and begin yet another new life. My grandmother died when my father was 17. I never met her. My mother never met her. We had a few photographs, but we didn't know very much about her background. Until a couple of years ago when my sister Simona started doing some online family tree research and got in touch with a relative in Chita in Siberia, which is our grandmother's hometown. He had a family tree and our grandparents were in it, but Irina's name was Esther and all of her ancestors were Jewish, which just goes to show you that when you start delving into your past, you never know what surprises you may find. My grandfather Lawrence wrote a memoir of his time in World War I and in the Czech Legion called Unforgettable Years. It was 400 pages of beautiful, tiny handwriting, very meticulously written, where he talked about historical events and his military experiences, but there wasn't very much in it about his personal family life, and we always wondered why. Well, now we can see that that might not have been a good thing to talk about at the time. My sister Simona and my father Rudolf recently translated this book from Czech into English, and it is available online at the website skorecki.ontario.net as a PDF document or as a hardcover book. As I was writing the text for this piece, I was trying to imagine how my grandmother must have felt in the happy moments of her life and in the many times that were filled with stress and danger. There was no actual written account of this time, so my account is imaginary, in the same way that you might see in film credits when it says inspired by true events. One of the musical themes of this piece is the lullaby, the Russian lullaby, Bayushki Bayu, which you will hear sung in Russian at several points in the piece. Спи, младенец мой прекрасный, Bayushki Bayu. I will let Clarisse sing more of it. The text is sometimes gentle, but sometimes not. At one point it talks about the brave father protecting the baby from the evil man who is crawling up the riverbank, sharpening his dagger. This was a lullaby that my grandmother sang to my father, and he sang it to us, and I sang it to my daughters. So it is a legacy of hers passed on in our family. Irina, Esther, had many challenges in her life, as her life collided with some of the big events of the first half of the 20th century. Invasions and floods, a European influenza epidemic, and 2 world wars. And yet she was somehow able to find the strength to cope and carry on. The path before me explores the importance of home, wherever it may be, and of family. I dedicate this piece with love and gratitude to my grandmother, Esther Irina Afitsinskaya Skvoretsky, to remember her life and to celebrate who she was.